Hello ladies and gents, my name is John J. Lee, or John N.J. Lee, or John G, whichever you prefer, whichever's easier, here playing through the Valorant beta. As many of you know, there's a total of 10 agents in the game right now, each with their own abilities. But did you know that each ability has interactions with themselves, or within the stage that they're placed in? In this video I'll be going over the solo combos and casting modifiers one can do by themselves. In the future I'll be creating a video going over ability interactions with other characters. First up is Brimstone, whose first ability is a stim beacon which increases the fire rate, swap speed, and weapon reload speed of any that stand within it, persisting for a small time after leaving. This effect is approximately 10% faster. Next up is Brimstone's Molotov, which sets a small area on fire. Any enemies that stand in the area are damaged rapidly, and any allies are also damaged, however don't take as much damage. The Molotovs can also be ricocheted off of surfaces. An interesting thing about the Molotovs, they don't actually detonate on a number of bounces or a timer, but detonate upon losing enough speed. This is more relevant on surfaces where Molotovs are not allowed to detonate. Next up are Brimstone's smoke bombs. You can select up to 3 areas as long as they're close to you and bombard them with smoke grenades. These will add spherical areas which nobody, including your team, can see through. Lastly is Brimstone's ultimate, which is a giant sky laser which can be selected in a similar way to your smokes. As long as the enemies don't have to go through a maze, even if the lasers drop directly on top of their head, chances are they're able to get away without dying. For the first interesting interaction, all of Brimstone's abilities will work through walls, including his stim beacon and Molotov. Through creative use of this, you can support your team through walls, partially cover areas with fire, or smoke out enemies behind a box you know that there's something behind. Fun little fact about smokes is that if somebody's somewhat within a smoke, however their head is not out of it, you can still see them, but they cannot see anything at all. So controlling exactly where your smoke lands can give you a kill, or not. Next up is Jet, and she's one of the few agents who actually has a passive ability. This ability is slow fall. By holding spacebar, one is able to negate fall damage and slow fall through an area. However, this is not silent and should not be treated as such, nor does it negate the jumping penalty accuracy for weapons. Jet's first ability is a smoke grenade, which you can throw. It's rather simple. However, there's a lot more that comes with the territory, which will be explained later on. Next up is Jet's second ability, which is a jump. It can be combined with your passive and your third ability to get some really nice area. Your third ability is a long-range dash in a single direction. This can be used to get around, flank enemies. It's basically up to your imagination. Next up is Jet's ultimate ability, Blade Storm. You summon 5 blades which reset on kill. On top of that, these blades also have absolutely no movement penalty, so jump around to your heart's content. Makes you a tricky target to hit. An interesting thing about Jet's smoke grenades is that they can be curved around corners by moving your camera side to side. This does take a lot of practice, however, so jump into training mode and give it a try. Another interesting thing is that when you let go of the ability button, the grenades will start to fall through the sky. You can use this to lob grenades in certain ways, which can allow you to have your weapon ready faster. An interesting thing about Jet's ultimate is that the firing delay between switching weapons is shorter if you have the ultimate already casted.
Watch this!
If you cast the ultimate and then attempt to throw daggers, it is actually slightly slower than having the ultimate ready, having already cast it, and then throwing daggers while switching off.
Watch this!
Next up is Sasuke. Next up is Omen, whose first ability is a short-range teleport. You can use this to bypass areas that you think that an enemy is watching. Omen's second ability is a straight shot blind, which can pass through walls. The interesting thing about this blind is that it's not actually a full blind, but it will cause nearsightedness in his opponents. Looks something like this. Omen's third ability is a smoke grenade, which you can choose the distance before it detonates. Once it reaches this area, no matter how high or low it is, it will detonate. Please note that this does have an upwards limit and will fall to the ground if it reaches that. Please note that the smokes will actually run out their timer as they fall to the ground, and if they run out of time before they hit the ground, they will not do anything at all. This ability can also be cast through walls. Omen's final ability is a map-wide teleport. Upon selecting an area, you will teleport to that place. This does have a lengthy animation, however, and will have a small shadow at the point of entry. If an enemy shoots the shadow, it will cancel the teleport and waste the ultimate. However, they can also wait and then attempt to kill you after you've fully teleported. You can also see enemies in an expanding area after teleporting in. A fun thing about the teleport is that it is not silent. You can use this to your advantage to fake a teleport into one of your smokes, and then take some shots at enemies who take the bait. On top of that, depending on the distance between you and your smoke and your enemies, you can teleport into one of your smokes to cover your teleport. Also, due to your ultimate being map wide, you can fake a teleport and just teleport into the same spot or a slightly different area to make your opponents think you may have teleported into one of your smokes, when in reality you haven't moved at all. Also, by watching your opponents, you can readapt your behavior and fake them out. If they don't like shooting into your smokes after a teleport into one of your smokes and come out for a surprise. Next up is Phoenix, one of the few agents with a passive ability. Phoenix's passive is that he heals inside of his own fire, such as his flame wall or Molotov.
Careful now.
First up is Phoenix's first ability. This will send out a flame wall which can block sight and damage enemies. Let it be noted that you can stand inside the wall, however it will block your sight, while allowing enemies to still see you. Phoenix's second ability is a flashbang, which can be thrown with either left or right click, depending on where you want it to go. Let it be noted that if the flashbang was within line of sight of you, you will be blinded no matter what. However, the effect is greatened if you look directly at it, and lessened depending on how far away you look away. You can use this to quickly clear rooms, but be warned, it can also blind your teammates. Also, due to it being based off of camera angle, you can throw it over things as well. Phoenix's third ability is Hot Hands. It throws a short-range Molotov which can be ricocheted off walls and detonates upon the moment it hits the ground.
Careful now.
Much like Brimstone, this also works through walls.
Careful now.
Phoenix's ultimate is Run It Back. When activated, it marks a spot on the ground in which he will teleport back to you upon death or when the ability runs out. This can be used to aggressively push an area, and on top of that, this also refills Phoenix's HP to the max. However, this does not refill armor, and it will regenerate HP regardless of whether you were killed or if the ability ran out. The first interesting thing about Phoenix is that his flame wall can be curved by holding down the fire button while the ability is being cast. The wall will go in the direction you look, so you can use this to curve it around corners and trap people in those said corners.
Going up.
You can combine this with Hot Hands to make a corner really dangerous to be in. The best part about his flashbangs is that they don't actually work through smoke, so you can use this in conjunction with your flame wall to... I said you can use this in conjunction with your flame wall to flash through your wall and then push an area. And that's it for this video. Hopefully I'll have the next video up within the next week. Probably before then. In the meantime, hopefully you put this information to good use, and I'll see you in the next one. If you decided to stick around that long, that is. Outplayed!
You actually outplayed him.
Spike the fuse.